Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So welcome back to the Ultimate Video Test, and today we're kicking off a brand new series which is called the Ultimate Video Test Head-to-Head. It's a chance for us to check out some of the best smartphones on the market right now and pit them head-to-head and see which is your preferred choice for your money. Now for today's test we're checking out the Pixel 4a and the OnePlus Nord. And both of these come in at under £400 and offer really good value for money insofar as imaging is concerned. Now the OnePlus Nord does have a slight advantage in that it's got a few more lenses to play with for video, but we'll check out both of them and see how well they perform side by side, and you can tell me which you think is the best of the two. So we're starting off with a level playing field, and this is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now this is the maximum resolution that the Pixel 4a can do from its front-facing camera, but both offer really good video image stabilisation and also good auto exposure levels. So as I turn around and face the sun and keep moving around, it alters the image as it goes along and helps to keep everything well exposed. Now with the image stabilisation, I thought it was really good on both of them. And if I go for a quick run, you can see that both phones do a really good job of keeping everything in check, even when the going gets a little bit bumpy with a bit more speed. Now one advantage that the OnePlus Nord has over the Pixel 4a is its ability to record up to 4K at 60 frames per second from its front-facing camera. Now I've just bumped up the resolution to 4K at 30 FPS, just to see if you can make out any discernible differences between the two resolutions. And this is using the OnePlus Nord ultra-wide angle selfie camera, which is currently recorded at 4K 30. Now this is the maximum resolution and frame rate that the OnePlus Nord can use on its ultra-wide angle selfie camera. Now one thing I did notice with the OnePlus Nord ultra-wide selfie is that the dynamic range does suffer quite a bit compared to the main selfie camera. So the main selfie shooter on the OnePlus Nord is a 32 megapixel sensor, whereas the ultra-wide is just an 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle sensor. So you can see that the Pixel is doing a better job of keeping everything in check behind me, whereas with the OnePlus Nord with the ultra-wide selfie, well, you get more of me in the frame. You can see that it's clipping out the highlights in the background a little bit more compared to the Pixel. Now, in addition to the ultra-wide selfie camera, on the main selfie camera lens on OnePlus Nord, you also get the ability to record up to 4K at 60 frames per second. Now, if you want to check out this in a bit more detail, then I have done a complete OnePlus Nord Ultimate Video Test, and I'll pop a card up on screen now and you can go and check that out in your own time. But for comparison purposes, this is 1080p 30 on the Pixel 4a versus 4K 60 on the OnePlus Nord selfie cameras. The one thing I have noticed with Nord is that the stabilisation at 4K 60 on a front-facing camera is not as good as when you're recording at 4K 30. Although it has been improved for the recent update, it's still not quite perfect. But it's good that you get the option to use it anyway. But you let me know what you think of the differences between the two phones and which is your pick of the bunch. Alright, so moving around to the rear cameras then. And the Pixel 4a uses a singular 12.2 megapixel camera to record video on its rear lens, whereas the OnePlus Nord has a 48 megapixel main wide lens and then uses a secondary 8 megapixel ultra wide lens to record ultra wide angle video at up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Now both phones cap out at 4K at 30 FPS from their main cameras. Now you can use a hack on the OnePlus Nord using Gcam to get 4K 60, but having inspected the video, I think it's just interpolating the frames because the video isn't quite perfect at 4K 60 as you would expect. So you let me know what you think of the video at 1080p at 30 FPS from the Pixel 4a and OnePlus Nord. Both phones have Excellent electronic image stabilisation from both the main lens and on the Nord the ultra wide angle lens. But you let me know what is your favourite in terms of general overall video quality at this baseline resolution and frame rate. Now, one part of the video software where both phones are equal is at 1080p 60. This is the maximum that both phones can record at 60 FPS in terms of resolution. So it's just 1080p at 60 on both phones. And the Nord can only record the 1080 60 on its main lens. You can't do it on the ultra wide angle camera. So this makes things a little bit more even between the two as far as the head-to-head is concerned. And as with 30 frames per second, you get electronic image stabilization at 60 FPS on both handsets. Now, both phones have the ability to use digital zoom. Now, the Pixel 4a can go up to 5 times digital zoom, and the OnePlus Nord also does the same at 4K 30. So this is at 2 times digital zoom. So this is probably the best image clarity from both using the digital zoom. Any more, it starts to get a little bit fuzzy and loses detail. But you can see, even when zoomed in, you still get really good stabilization. And the image quality retains a good balance of quality and digital zoom at the same time. Now, if I go up to 5 times zoom on Nord and then do the same on the Pixel 4a, you can see just how much image quality is lost by zooming into that level. I would say that just looking through the viewfinder, it may look different on video. The Pixel seems to have the edge on actual colour and detail on this cottage just in front of me here. And that looks more true to life, so you'll have to trust me on that one, but that is the colour that I see with the naked eye. Alright, so pushing things up to the max resolution for both phones, and that is 4K at 30 frames per second from the main rear camera. So walking in this direction here, the sun is right in front of both phones, so it gives both of them a good chance to flex their muscles in how they handle really bright scenes. So this is very harsh midday sun, and give both phones a bit of a run for their money insofar as keeping exposure on everything in front of me and also the sky as well. So if I just point straight at the sun and then come back down to ground level, you can see both phones have a nice smooth auto exposure change as we come back to ground level. Alright, so let's check out autofocus on the Pixel. And you get a nice smooth autofocus mechanism. It's not quite the fastest. You can see it's just a little bit slower to move from subject to background, but autofocus is nice and accurate, and even if I move the subject in and out, the Pixel keeps a nice lock on that at all times. So let's check out autofocus on Nord now. and it's just slightly faster than on the Pixel. You could see there just as I started to record, it took a little bit longer to get that initial focus, but you can see, just like the Pixel, if I move the subject in and out of the frame, you can see it keeps a lock on that until I let go and it goes back to the background. So both doing a really good job, I think, with autofocus. Okay, so in addition to its main video modes, the Nord also has a Cine mode. Now this has been carried over from the OnePlus 8 series. And what this basically does is it crops in the video to give you a 21:9 aspect ratio, which they claim makes it more cinematic. It does look pretty good, in all fairness. Now you can use it on both the main lens and also with the ultra wide angle camera, where I think the Cine mode makes more sense using the ultra wide lens because you cram it a bit more because of that cinematic aspect ratio. It does lend a slightly different perspective, especially with those black bars. It does have a really good effect, but as per the OnePlus Nord Ultimate Video Test, I'm not sure how much I'd actually use this in the long run, but still, for those who like this kind of thing, it's a good addition, I think, and it has been well implemented in my opinion. Now, in addition to all of the main video modes and the Cine mode, Nord also has super stable video. So I'm just recording 4K 30 on the Pixel and using 4K 30 super stable mode on the Nord. So I'll just go for a quick run. It is more stable, there's no denying that, but I think the lines have been blurred now between the standard video stabilization and this super stable mode. But you let me know what you think of the Pixel 4a just in its standard stabilization and the Nord super stable, and what you think is the best between the two. Alright, so that's the end of this ultimate video test head-to-head then between the Pixel 4a and the OnePlus Nord. I think both phones offer really good video for their respective pricing. Obviously the OnePlus Nord has all of those other video options, which makes it the more versatile of the two. But if you just want no fuss video recording, just point and click, press the record button and off you go. The Pixel 4a offers really good video and audio quality from such a small and cheap package. But the OnePlus Nord does take things up just a few more gears in offering all of those different modes, like the ultra wide camera on the front and also the rear, and also things like super stable mode and Cine mode. But you let me know what you think of both of these phones and which is your favorite between the two. And also don't forget, if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing so there's more video test head-to-heads coming like this very, very soon. But for now, this has been my ultimate video test head-to-head between the Pixel 4a and the OnePlus Nord. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.